Hey, we're live on YouTube. Look at that. Live on YouTube, live on Instagram. Got my phone over here. Got the webcam right here. Just going to do a little Q&A. Now, if you're watching on Instagram, I'm only going to answer questions on YouTube. So the link's in my bio. Head over there to YouTube and ask away. If you're on YouTube watching live, awesome. There's probably one of you, two of you, something like that. But I want to branch out. I've been doing the Instagram thing, been doing the Twitter thing, podcasting and all that, but I think YouTube might be where it's at. So let me know if you can't hear me, by the way. I think you should be able to hear me fine and see me fine on YouTube. How's your Labor Day been? Because mine has been insane. So I got home and everything was fine. Catching up on a little Grand Theft Auto because I like to play video games from time to time. So I'm about to make a run to the nightclub, deposit some cash, and all of a sudden my fire alarm in my apartment starts going ape shit, just so loud. My dog's freaking out. I'm freaking out. Can't even think. And I'm like, what's happening? I thought it was just my smoke detector. So I'm trying to press the button like an idiot, and everything's still going crazy, super loud. And that's not it. And then I walked out in the breezeway, and everybody's standing out there. Everybody's got their dogs, holding their dogs, or got their dogs on a leash. And they're like, is yours going off too? And I'm like, yeah. And so we walk down outside and try to figure out what's going on. Luckily, there was one girl here in my apartment building who's like the ringleader, and she's like telling everybody what's going on. And somebody called 911 because they couldn't get a hold of the apartment management. So the fire trucks come, and finally they figure out there's some sort of valve issue or something, and they say, okay, you can go back in your apartments, and we all go back into our apartments. But then it happens again. So loud. It feels like Andre the Giant just has his grips on my head. And so I'm freaking out. Comet's freaking out again. And then it stops. And I'm like, okay, maybe the fire department was just doing a test. And we're good. Settle back in. And then it goes off again. And then again. I'm like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going for a drive somewhere. So I left, came back, and fingers crossed, I think everything's good now, but you never know. So if something happens during this live stream and loud noises start happening, then that's why. Just so be prepared for that. But I'm glad that it happened earlier and not right now, because I was wanting to do this live stream. Actually, I was wanting to get more stuff set up for this, like test out some stuff, because this is my first time doing a live stream like this. So I was wanting to test lighting and test my little overlays, and I'm using StreamYard now on YouTube. So I was wanting to test it out, never tested it out. And of course, it's just Alarm City, and it set me behind a couple hours, but I'm all good now. What's up, peeps on Instagram? What's up, YouTube peeps? Aubrey, Melanie, Elliot, what is up? Trying to figure out how to have my monitor set up too. I got the YouTube chat popped off in a separate window here. So just bear with me. Uh-oh, we got our first question. In here. And I'll get to it in just a second. What's up? El Chanchis on Instagram. Welcome. If you're watching here, pop over to YouTube, ask some questions. That's where I'm answering them. All right, first question we got from Elliot. Did you ever enjoy being a Christian? I did, yes, very much. As a kid, no, but who really does as a kid, Maybe like some fun little church activities or whatever. But when I really started getting really involved in church when I was 16. So, and youth group stuff, I played in the youth band and it was fun. And yeah, I really enjoyed being a Christian from 16 until after I got married. So like I got married at 22, almost 23. So I enjoyed being a Christian from like 16 to 24 ish. And not just because of playing music and that stuff. Like I really felt close to God. I prayed every day. I worshiped God. I went to church a lot and I loved being a Christian. I took a lot of pride in it. I brought my Bible to school. I brought my Bible to work. People thought I was crazy because I would pray and read my Bible in the break room. I loved being a Christian. But eventually, I just didn't have a reason to be a Christian anymore. So thanks for the question. Keep them coming. I got some stream beats playing in the background too. I don't know if you guys can hear. I'm trying to play some music a little bit. If you're watching this on the YouTube replay, which some of you might be, drop your comments, drop your questions in the comments, and I'll try to answer them because I have a lot of time. I'm what they call jobless, so I have time on my hands to answer questions and all that jazz. Resin says that I came to clear consciousness. Yeah. You can't really choose. I don't think that you can really choose to believe things. I think you either believe them or you don't. That's it. You can maybe force yourself to try to believe things, but I think you can only either believe something or not. And so once that clicks in your brain that you just don't believe it anymore, there's cognitive dissonance, and you can't really force yourself to believe things. This live stream is brought to you by Aha Water, blueberry pomegranate, and it's my favorite. Because if you live a sedentary lifestyle like I do, it's better to drink water than soda because you'll be 900 pounds. I like this name, theoretically. I got subscribed, but I don't remember where I've seen you. Probably Neil the 604. Yep, that's where I was. I was on Neil the 604 Atheist YouTube live a couple months ago. So that's where you saw me. I was drinking beer that time. I should probably be drinking beer this time because there are some nerves. I may or may not have been taking a shot of Crown Royal right before I went live. Now, if you asked a question on my Instagram post or Instagram live, I'm going to answer it. I'm just trying to get to people who are asking questions live first because that's the whole point of this thing, But I'm going to get to the questions that were submitted on my story or in the comments on that post. What's up, Emilio? Welcome. You dig the hat, huh? Thank you. It's custom. You can find it at my store, my Teespring store. I probably should have linked to it, but I'm not that technically sound. It is in my Instagram bio, a link to the store, or Twitter bio. If you're somehow here from there, you can find it there. But I like this hat a lot. I wasn't expecting it to have the green underneath, but I kind of like that. It just reminds me of like old school baseball hats, rocking the green under brim. So thank you. I hope that my computer doesn't fry because sometimes it gets really hot and it's like starts sounding like a jet that's taking off. If you see me doing this, it's just because I'm digging the background music. If you can't hear it, then sorry. Brooke says, are you still married? How did your marriage change because of disbelieving it? I'm not married anymore. I've been divorced for 5 years. It's weird because like me becoming an atheist didn't really affect our marriage. It was more of her being a whore that caused that to happen. So I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. We were both strong in our faith, when we got married, but slowly faded away. I think she still considers herself a Christian, probably, or a believer of some kind, but I don't. But it didn't really affect our marriage. The church that we were in had like a church split, and then they moved locations. So I stopped wanting to go because I wasn't believing anymore. I think that it was just convenient for her too, because she worked in retail, and so she would work on the weekends a lot anyways, and so we just stopped going to church, and it didn't really have as big of an effect as it does for a lot of people probably when one spouse becomes an atheist and the other one doesn't. Thanks for the question. I haven't forgotten about you, Instagram peeps. But if you got a question, bring it to YouTube. All right, here's the $1 million question, right? The one that a lot of people ask, not just me, but a lot of atheists or non-believers or people who have deconstructed. And that is, what was the first main thing that made you question Christianity? I used to go for a walk around the building at work, and there was a guy who would always stand out there and smoke cigarettes while I was walking around the building trying to lose my gut, which fluctuates since I've been an adult, But I would go walking around the building, and one day, for whatever reason, he stopped me and we got talking about church, and he asked me if I went, and I said, well, not really anymore, but I still believe. And then he asked me why, and I just kind of answered with a lot of the things that I had always had. I just believed in the Bible being the Word of God. And he told me that he used to be a preacher, and the church that he went to discouraged him from wanting to go to college because they said that the professors were like doing the work of Satan because they're promoting stuff that doesn't line up with the Bible and stuff like that. But eventually he went to college anyways, and he took a religions 101 class or whatever, learning about different religions of the world. And he just learned about other stories that were very similar to that of Jesus that predated the story of Jesus, but there were like a lot of similarities. And then he got to talking about how people around the world, like different geographic locations, believe different things. And it just sort of clicked in my head. I'm like, 80 to 90% of people in the world believe the same thing that their parents do, or the same thing that the people around them do. It's not always the case, of course, but it usually is. And so I got to thinking, like, if I were born somewhere else, I would believe something else. If my parents were Muslims instead of Christians, I would believe that way. And so it's like light bulb, and I realized that that's why people believe. And what made me right, what made my religion right and all the other ones wrong, because that's just how I was raised. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm right, and there are a couple of billion people on the planet who are not right. Just it sort of clicked for me there. Love from Mexico. Thanks, Emilio. Emilio! It always pops in my head, Night at the Roxbury. Freaking YouTube ads playing while I'm trying to jam out, you know? Come on, people. Okay. Emilio! The liberal agenda. Yeah. Exactly. All the college professors that are trying to turn everybody Democrat and liberal. Nah, man, maybe it's just shaking up the things that you've been taught your whole life. All right, I'm going to get to one of the questions that I got on Instagram beforehand. Let's see. Here's a good one. Do you still get excited when Christmas comes? Yeah, you know, it's not all about Christ. It's about presents. It's about Santa. It's about family. Fuck Jesus, you know? That's not what it's about. That's not the true meaning of Christmas. It's about getting those presents. But on a serious note, yeah, I love Christmas. Just time with family, even though it's not always the easiest because our views aren't really the same these days, but I still love it. Usually because it's also synonymous with time off work. But that doesn't really matter when you don't have a job. You know what I'm saying? Emilio has a question here. Hey man, I need advice. I'm dating a Christian girl who really takes religion seriously, and I'm an atheist. We sometimes argue about it. Any advice for it to work? If it's going to work, it's going to have to be neither one of you trying to convert the other. She can't try to convert you to Christianity, and you can't try to like tell her to lose her faith. That's just bottom line. Because if either one of you have that agenda and you're not just trying to be in a relationship and love each other, then I just don't think it'll work. You have to think about, you know, if you're planning on marrying somebody or having kids with them too down the road, then they're going to want to raise them a different way than you probably. So a lot of things to take into consideration, but it can work. You can date somebody who's religious, but just don't try to tell them that they're stupid or that what they believe is stupid or anything like that. And I'm no love coach, by the way, but that would be my advice. Although that background music kind of sounds like I'm a love coach. Yeah. Love coach. If you can't hear it, that's really awkward. Anyway. There are more people here live than I thought would be. So that's awesome. I'm really happy about that. Let's see. Let's find another question here. What's up, Blue Aquaria? How you doing? Did my view on sex change after deconstruction? Well, you know, I deconstructed while I was still married. But I mean, yeah, it's changed now. I don't look at premarital sex as a sin and all that shit like I used to, of course. It's just if both adults are consenting, then cool. Unless one of them's married or something to somebody else, then maybe not as cool. Tell that to my ex-wife. My views on a lot of things have changed after deconstruction, though. It's funny because the first thing I deconstructed was my faith in Christianity, but these last couple of years, I've also deconstructed a lot of political thinking, a lot of political beliefs, especially this year with everything going on. Really had to take a hard look at myself, do some introspection. I voted for Trump in 2016. Now, some people might love that, and some people might say, "What the fuck?" But I voted for him. It was kind of I didn't never love the guy. It was kind of like a lesser of two evils type of thing. But yeah, so I voted for him in 2016, and needless to say, I would vote for a literal pile of human shit over him in a couple of months. So a lot of things have changed. I hate these freaking ads popping up on this music. Thank you, Brooke, for the question. All right, I said I wasn't going to answer Instagram questions like on the live, but this one's pretty funny. South Bay Fish Killer says, "Can you get an ice cream truck with huge speakers and interrupt street preachers with street performers?" That would be awesome. I don't know if you've seen Fish Killer. If you've seen, there's on TikTok they have some people who are trying to preach on these college campuses, and then there's one dude with a trombone that comes up there, just interrupts the hell out of them, and it was funny. And then like the next day, two tromboners came and played, and then like the next day it was a whole band. That shit was so funny. Brooke says that she went to a Christian school. Oh, yeah, I'm glad I never went to any Christian schools. I mean, church was bad enough in some ways. I imagine that shit is hard. Oh, here's a good question from Asher. Are you angry that your parents didn't give you a choice when you were young? Not really. I think they were just doing what they thought was right. You hear a lot of people say that, like, I need to raise the kids in church because they think that's the right thing to do. So no, I'm not angry. It's like in their mind, it's probably raise him in church or he's gonna be a sinner and end up going to hell. So let's make the right choice. So I'm not angry at them at all. But trying to end that cycle, let it stop with me. If I ever have kids, then I'll raise them differently. But I don't blame them. I think most people's parents do the same thing. They try to raise you the best way they know how. So that's all. How did I cope with the angry phase of deconversion? I have zero patience and tolerance for BS. I've fallen out with a few people already. Oh man, that's a good question, Blue Aquaria. How do you cope with the angry phase of deconversion? Well, luckily for me, when I was going through the angry phase of deconversion, I was not around a ton of church people anymore because, like I said, our church had just split and they had a new location or whatever. So it's not like people were wondering where I was at church and stuff like that. So, but there's definitely an angry phase that you go through when you feel like that you were lied to your whole life, and not intentionally anyways. It's not like they're trying to pull one over on you or anything. That's what they think is true, so they try to tell you that. But yeah, you still get angry for feeling like you wasted years of your life. The best way to cope with it definitely now is online like this, trying to find like-minded people and just vent, when you're going through some angry phases or whatever. Just try to find people who understand and talk to them about it and vent your frustrations. It's funny because when I first deconverted, I went through that angry phase, but not really for long. And then I was sort of indifferent for years. I've been an atheist for 10 years, and I only started this account, this podcast, this Instagram at the end of last year. So I was indifferent for a long time. But then, last year I dated someone who was religious, and it ended, and it was basically because of religion. And so that like re-sparked that angry phase, I guess, for me. But I think I've dealt with it in better. I'm not just like trying to lash out or anything. It's I really want to use this platform to help people who are going through the deconversion process or already out and just kind of looking for community. So I hope that answered your question a little bit. It's hard to cope with because when you're a Christian, a lot of your safety net is other Christians or the Bible or God. And once you really don't have that anymore, it's kind of hard to have anything to fall back on or have anyone to talk to. So yeah, make America atheist again. I like that. I do wonder what this country and the world is going to look like in a few hundred years. I wonder if religion is going to be as prominent. If Trump doesn't start World War III, that is. If religion is going to be as prominent as it is now, or, if there'll be more advancements in science that lead more people to not believing in God. It's just interesting because those who believe are firmly rooted in their beliefs. But I feel like with each generation, more people and the internet age where you can search anything and find answers about anything. I feel like more people are kind of going away from the faith. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I don't know what you guys' thoughts are on that. If you feel like the world is going to become less and less religious or more religious or what. T Hatcher says, Kevin, can you recommend any movies or TV shows that present atheism or atheist characters in a positive light? If you find one, let me know. No, I don't know. That would be kind of a cool idea, a cool show, something that shows atheists in a positive light. Because honestly, I don't know. I mean, the thing I know is the documentary or whatever you want to call it, Religulous with Bill Maher. That's awesome and hilarious. And if you've never watched it, watch it. It's funny. I guess Bill Maher is one of those polarizing people that either you love or you hate, but I love that movie. Yeah, seriously, if anybody does know an answer to this question, drop it in the comments because I want to know too. Resin says that I've lost many friends being an atheist. Satanist. Yeah, it just kind of comes with the territory, I think. I don't know how many friends I've really lost. Acquaintances, yes. But also a lot of people don't know that I am an atheist still. I've been one for a decade, and I think there's still a lot of people who really don't know. I'm not very outspoken on my personal accounts about it, although I think that's probably going to change pretty soon. I know I've been saying that for a couple of months, but I've been typing out a post. I don't feel the need necessarily to come out as an atheist, I guess, but I've been working on a Facebook post about it, like just because I feel like there's probably people out there that I'm friends with or acquaintances with on Facebook that feel this way. Maybe they have been a Christian for a long time and they just feel like they can't express their doubts to those around them or whatever because everybody else living in the Bible Belt where I do. I live in Tennessee, like right on the Georgia line. Is that a country band? Tennessee Georgia line. Uh, there aren't that many outspoken atheists around here, so I feel like I might need to make that post, and I'll probably lose some friends in the process, and I'll probably have some people preaching to me in the comments in the process, but that's all right. You know, those people aren't my good friends anyways, and if they unfriend me over something like that, then I don't need them anyway. I've made great friends online, on Instagram, just in the atheist community, on Twitter. So I don't really need these acquaintances that I don't ever really talk to anyways I don't need their approval, you know. Appreciate it, Theo. Thanks for the sub and the thumb. Hope to see you on another live stream. I'll probably be doing these, you know, every other week or something, maybe. We'll see. Oh, I hope this is a real show. Hail Satan on Hulu. Yeah. If it's a joke, that's funny. If it's a real show, I'll probably check it out. Yeah, I know it's Florida Georgia line, but you know, maybe I'll start my own. Maybe I'll start my own Tennessee Georgia line. Come out with some hits. Find one other guy with a sleeveless flannel, and we'll make it big. Oh, so that is a real show, Hail Satan on Hulu. Sweet. Oh, here's a good question from Asher. What is the best or funniest responses to "I'll pray for you"? Why don't you guys give me some good ones? The one I normally go with is sometimes I say "I'll pray for you too," just for the confusion, you know. Wait, you don't pray? Or you know, people say "I'll think for you." I think that's a pretty good one. Don't bother. There's another straightforward excuse. Don't bother praying for me. Or, you know, honestly, if people aren't saying it in a condescending way, if they're just really saying that they're going to pray for me, then I just usually say thanks and move on. But if they're being a dick and like, I'll pray for you so you find your way, then I'll say, yeah, I'll pray for you too to Satan or something like that. Just something stupid. Let's see. There's some Instagram responses here. Nah, thanks. Don't patronize me. Yeah. I don't need your prayer. Thank you, though. And then, of course, they're condescending, like, of course you need my prayer. You don't know the truth. That whole thing. Oh, I think the detective in Lucifer is an atheist. I've just started watching that show. First few episodes. All right, let's see. I got some more. Another question that I got from Instagram. Do you deal with more people that attempt to reconvert you or just assert that you're wrong? Oh man, that is neck and neck, honestly. I think probably assert that I'm wrong, because whatever I say, they're just like, oh, you were never a Christian to begin with. So it's like the automatic dismissal of my faith. I get a lot of that. Or you just haven't read the Bible enough, or you read the wrong version, or you haven't read it enough times, or you interpret it wrong, or whatever, you know. So probably more people that assert that I'm wrong. People try to reconvert me. I'm talking about online, because not that many people in person really, like I said, know about my atheism or whatever, and I don't talk to a lot of people about it. But online, and for sure on TikTok, and those people over there are brutal, but they're just like, just try to tell me that I'm wrong. They don't really attempt to reconvert me. They'll say something real snarky, like, you don't know fucking shit, and then like, Jesus still loves you. Come back to Christ. So that's pretty much that. What's up, Hey Leon? Instagram. Maddie, how you doing? Hey Leon, up on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. Not really the coast. It's like several hundred miles to the ocean, but you get it. You get it. Oh, how'd that get on the screen? Patreon.com/Jesus Unfollower. If you want to support me, if you like what I'm doing on YouTube or the podcast, or just want to support the atheist community, you could throw me a couple bucks over there, or you could visit my store and get some merch. I got hats and shirts and mugs and shit in my store, in my Instagram bio. So appreciate that. And if you sign up for Patreon, you get my podcasts and videos a little bit before they're released to the public. So there's a little bit of an incentive if you want to support me at all. Resident is in Texas. Where's everybody else from? What's up, Carmen? How you doing? Satanic Atheist. Love it. Love the name. Let's see. Next question. Oh, here's a good one. And I get this one from time to time. Why do you hate God so much? This is what somebody put in my Instagram story. I put the little question box in my Instagram story, and they said, why do you hate God so much? Not mad at God, not mad at the church, even though I don't love the church, but it's not a thing of like, the church hurt me or God hurt me. I don't hate God. It's hard to hate something that doesn't exist, you know, or that you don't believe exists. I don't assert that God does not exist. I just say that I don't believe it. I'm open to it. If anybody has any evidence, let me know. And don't just shoot me some random articles that are written by Christians that's like, hey, Noah's Ark was discovered in the ocean somewhere, because no. Sorry. They found Noah's Ark on a mountain. They found chariots in the ocean. Believe it. Pass. Sorry. If God wants me to believe, he got to do better than that, for sure. But yeah, I don't hate God. It doesn't even make sense. It's like asking me why I hate leprechauns. I do get the question a lot, why do I do this? And actually, I have a video coming out tomorrow on YouTube that addresses that, why I do this, why I have an Instagram account, podcast, YouTube channel. Like, why can't you just live and let live and let people be? I mean, they can do what they want, but so can I. And so that means I can speak out about the harmful effects of religion, of which there are a lot. So I don't hate God, but religion does some shitty things, and I'm going to talk about it. And if you don't like it, fucking scroll or, hit next, go to the next video. You don't have to put up with it. Oh, look, we got another Texan, T. Hatcher. You know what they say about Texas? There's only two things there: Christians and non-Christians. Maddie says, why do I hate Santa so much? Yeah, I mean, that's the same premise, I grew up believing that Santa was real, and then I didn't. That doesn't mean I hate Santa. Of course, I don't have a YouTube channel talking about Santa, but also people don't kill in the name of Santa. People don't tell me that Santa is going to send me to hell, So that's kind of why I do this. I have people literally every day telling me that I'm going to hell. So if they're telling it to me, they're telling it to other people too. And we need to unite, because religion deserves to be mocked. As Christopher Hitchens would say, if we put it on a platform that it doesn't deserve to be on, then it makes it something different than everything else in the world, and it deserves to be mocked just like everything else. Especially when you don't have any evidence for the supernatural. You kidding me? Of course I'm going to mock it. Surferscapes, what's up? All my fam is religious, so I know how hard it is to break out. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know how it's going to go whenever I do tell more of my family that I'm not religious, that I'm atheist. I go back and forth on whether or not I need to. I don't know. Part of me just says, just keep doing what you're doing here, and if they find it and find out about what I do, then cool. We'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But it might be a better idea to at least talk to them a little bit before they just stumble upon me saying, God is dead, Not that I say that, but you get it. Thanks to everybody for showing up for this live. It's pretty cool. I don't really go live very often. Just hanging out with my fam. Instagram fam, YouTube fam. Yeah, this goes along the same lines. How are you handling relationships with family members who still believe? Are there topics you just avoid? You know what they always say, avoid politics and religion. So I kind of try to do that, especially because they're probably more likely to disown me for my political views these days, I think, maybe. I try to avoid politics. I try to avoid religion because I'm not sure how that would go. Just kind of I was indoctrinated more heavily with politics, I think, than with religion, really. Although, the church that I started going to at 16, I got heavily involved in, but it was more of a political thing. Like, grow up believing that people on welfare are lazy, or that they don't want to work, or that, people who don't work are lesser than the people who do, and capitalism is king and all that stuff. And I'm starting to deconstruct that stuff too. I don't know. Yep, my family is conservative. Very conservative. I think my sister and I are probably the only two in the whole family that are not conservative. So I sort of just vent to her about my political. I just try to avoid my family's Facebook profiles if I can. I snooze them or mute them or unfollow them because oh my god, I just can't see that stuff. I can't put up with that stuff. The irony is that it's the opposite of Jesus's politics, right? I mean, didn't Jesus say that it would be hard for rich people to go through the eye of a needle than to get into heaven, or that it would be easier for them to go through the eye of a needle than to get into heaven? But now it's like capitalism, Trump, MAGA. It's just backwards. It doesn't seem like like everything else. They cherry pick what they like, turning Jesus into something that he's really even not in the Bible. What's the biggest thing that made you leave religion and realize that it's all fake? It's just that thing about indoctrination. That was like the first crack in the foundation for me. And am I saying that nothing good comes out of religion? No, because it does. There are lots of charitable things. Lots of weak people get. It's a crutch for people, you know. So I'm not going to say that there's nothing good that comes out of it. The church does do a lot of charity, feeding the hungry and stuff like that. So I can't say that the church is bad on its own. But that's just I couldn't do it anymore, and that was the biggest thing that made me leave religion. Is like I can't just fake it. I can't pretend to believe in something that I don't. So I'm not going to go to church and worship a God that I don't think is real. It doesn't make any sense for me. Got a couple more questions from Instagram that I can go through. Looks like the live chat here is kind of dying a little bit on YouTube. Anybody on Instagram have anything? Let's see. Did you ever learn about other faiths while in church? I mean, other denominations of Protestant Christianity mostly. Honestly, never really learned that much about Catholicism or anything. And all that we learned was like Muslims are bad. But Muslims are bad, okay? Anything that's not Protestant Christian is bad, okay? Catholics worship Mary, and that's pretty much the extent of learning about other faiths while I was in church. Once I got out of church, then I, have sort of learned about other religions a little bit, but still not as much as I would like to. I'm not that much of a reader. I'm like a reader in theory, if that makes any sense. I don't know if anybody else is the same way, but I'm like, oh, hell yeah, here we go. I'm going to order these 5 books and read them. And then 3 years later, I've like read 10 pages. But I do read a lot of articles. I watch a lot of YouTube videos. I guess I have the attention span of a hamster or something, but that's how I consume most of my stuff. I'm reading Misquoting Jesus right now, which is pretty good, but then again, I read like 10 pages every a week or something. So Heretical Theology on Instagram, you'll probably laugh at that one because I think he reads like 7 books an hour or something. I wish I could. I wish I could just turn off the Grand Theft Auto, turn off reality TV, and read more. But I don't know. I'm short attention span, I guess. I have books. Just don't read them. I think somebody asked that question too. Yeah, favorite books, movies. I read one book one time, Green Eggs and Ham. Green Eggs and Ham. It's my favorite book because that's the only one I've ever read. No, I'm just kidding. I read like self-help books and kind of business books and stuff like Crushing It by Gary Vee and One cool thriller or whatever fiction book that I read was Replay. That's a really cool book. If you've never read it, I like that one. This guy like dies and he keeps coming back to life and like replaying his life. That was a good one. It was a good one. Movies. Now I love movies. Django Unchained, Shawshank Redemption, anything Tarantino, Django, Pulp Fiction, Kill Bill, Inglourious Bastards, all those. And then of course, comedies, Dumb and Dumber. I watched Dumb and Dumber again the other day. Probably the 3,000th time I've seen it. Anything Jim Carrey, love it. Anchorman. But this question was probably about like, hey, what's your favorite religious books and movies? And I went a different way. But there you go. That's me, Jim Carrey. What's up, Huzzah? How you doing, Surferscapes? Oh, Sherwood asked a good question here on Instagram. Did you ever witness what you thought at the time was a supernatural event? I was at a church one time in Kentucky, and you hear about these miracles, the limbs growing back. I was in this church in Kentucky, and apparently there was someone in the front of the church who had a shorter leg than the other leg, and everybody was gathered around praying for him, and then the leg magically grew. I didn't actually see it. I don't think anybody ever really does, but why is that always the go-to miracle that God does? Like, I'm going to make the leg grow a little bit. That's all you got? Come on. But that's the only miracle that I've really ever seen in person. I totally forgot about that actually until I just asked that or read that question. That's funny. See you later, Resin. He says, all right, man, I'm going to go pray to Satan. Good luck. That's what I think we do. Pray to Satan, eat babies, basically. Let's see, any more questions? I'm trying to make this live last an hour-ish. Here's a good question, and I don't know if I'll have the best answer for it, but I'm just going to be honest here. What do you say when Christians say the New Testament negates all of the Old Testament horrors, right? So Jesus came, it's a new covenant, right? So all of a sudden God is not a dick. I get the theory of it, and you guys let me know what you think about that too. And if you're watching this on the replay, then drop a comment. But what do you think? What do you say when Christians say that the New Testament negates all the Old Testament? Because here's the thing. Jesus said that he's here to fulfill the law, right? And they still live by the 10 Commandments. That's Old Testament. So is it only certain things from the Old Testament apply now and some don't? For me, I'm like, it's not like God just, I'm being hypothetical here. So people are like, oh, you talked about God, you believe in him. Gotcha. No, it's not a gotcha, right? It's hypothetical, but it's not like God just changed who he was on a dime. Like, I'm an asshole, I'm a dick, you must sacrifice animals to me, and I'm going to slaughter a lot of people. I drowned everyone on earth. And now I'm going to send my son, and oh, look at me. I am a new man. I've changed. Come on now. He loves us so much that he murdered so many people in the Old Testament. And now, instead of just forgiving us, he sent his son down and watched him be tortured in the worst way possible. I don't know if anybody's got a better answer than that. Ethan says, surely an all-knowing God wouldn't make something that would need to be changed afterward, right? It's like God made us and he's like, whoop, I fucked up. Clean slate. And he just wipes everyone off the face of the earth and starts over. And then guess what? We're still sinning pieces of shit. So he has to send his son down to to die for all of us. I don't know. Maybe if I were a god, I would do things differently. And that's another comment that I get a lot is, you just want to be God. You just think you're God. You just want to be able to do whatever you want. You want to be able to sin however you want. It's not about you not believing. You just want to do these sinful things. Okay, buddy. You know me. I'm better than I know myself. Makes a lot of sense. I see your comment, Aubrey. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about the answer. Sherwood says, what do you say when someone who doesn't know you're an atheist asks you to sincerely pray for them? Ooh. I'll say something like, I'll keep you in my thoughts or something, because you're not, that way you're still being cordial, I guess. But I'm not going to sit there and tell them I'm going to pray for them, because I'm not. I mean, that's kind of dishonest. I guess you could, but oh, I guess you can only go live for an hour on Instagram because it says I've got 1 minute and 48 left. How about that? Okay, here's Aubrey's question. What have I learned about myself? What have you learned about yourself through deconversion? I guess it's that I have the ability to think critically about things and be open to, because even though I'm an atheist, I'm not saying that I'm right. I'm not saying that there's not a God. I don't believe that there is, but I'm not being so arrogant like a lot of theists are, where they're like, I know that there's a God, even though there's all they know. The only way that they know is through the Bible or personal experience. So for me, I'm not trying to say that I know I'm right. So maybe I've learned that I have a little bit of humility there, and that I'm open to the truth, whatever that is. It's like Matt Dillahunty says, I want to know as many true things as possible and as few false things as possible. I want to believe as many true things as possible and as few false things as possible, I think is the quote. But thanks for the question. Ethan says, I see the classic, you know God is real, but you don't want to admit it a lot. Yep, I get that too. And sorry, Instagram people, this is about to end. So if you want to catch the rest, head over to YouTube. It's going to end. I think it just ended. Yep. All right. YouTube, you have my full attention now. I was trying to give it mostly to you anyway, but again, if you want to support me, you can do that at patreon.com/JesusUnfollower. And really, I'm open to any kind of exclusive content or whatever that you guys would want to see over there. If you would like to do like patron only Q&As or Zoom calls or whatever, I'm kind of open. So let me know. Let's see. I think I have one or two more. I think I have one or two more questions. I don't think I answered this one yet. What argument do you find most effective in making people stop to actually question their beliefs, if any? It's just like, street epistemology. If you've never seen Anthony Magnabosco on YouTube, I recommend you check him out. His videos are awesome. He uses like a kind of like the Socratic method of just asking why and how and what people believe, and it's really about getting to the root of why they believe the things that they do. So I think really it's more about asking questions than trying to present your case or whatever. I would say just ask them what their belief is, how they got to that belief, and why they believe it, and just ask questions. That was from 10 Omens on Instagram, and here's his second question. Do you find it hard to be an atheist in the Bible Belt, and are you ever tempted to move somewhere with more progressive thinking? Yes and yes. I mean, it's not hard here as in like my life is at stake, my life is being threatened or anything like that, but it's kind of hard sometimes because everything around here is very rooted in church culture. So, and yeah, I've thought about moving other places, and I still might, who knows, but I think wherever you go, there are going to be people like that. There's going to be religious people. Maybe it's more dense here, but I've been tempted. I've thought about Austin before. I guess that's the cliche answer, right? Because you got the whole atheist community of Austin down there. But who knows? I don't really have a problem with where I'm at because of the internet. If this was like pre-internet, then maybe I would be more tempted to move to Canada or Europe, or at least just the Northeast or West Coast or somewhere that's a little more progressive. All right. I guess unless there are any more questions, it's going to do it for the live. I appreciate everybody for showing up on YouTube and Instagram. I'm going to try to do this. I don't know if I'll do it weekly, but maybe every couple weeks or at least once a month. It's fun. And I like getting to know you guys. So appreciate you showing up. And check out my other stuff on YouTube. If you're not subscribed already, please do so. And like the video too, because that'll help me show up in the algorithm for more people. So give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't yet. And go follow me on Instagram if you haven't over there, because I post every day over there too. So until next time, let logic and reason guide the way. Peace out.